I'm Lauren from Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a podcast member of the GonnaGeek Network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
On January 9th, 2016, Deadline Hollywood reported, quote, ABC has given a pilot order to Marvel's Most Wanted, the proposed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spin-off starring Adrienne Palicki and Nick Blood, unquote. Quote, the show will revolve around Barbara Bobby Morse, aka Mockingbird, and Lance Hunter, unquote. Deadline.com also reported that then ABC President Paul Lee told a Television Critics Association panel, quote, it's a really good script, unquote. Hello friends, my name is Josh Liston. This is On the Bubble podcast, and today we're talking about the unaired pilot for the ABC show Marvel's Most Wanted, or Most Wanted for short. We're also going to talk about the fans that are still campaigning to make the show available for public viewing. Okay, here we go.
For all episode resources, subscribe links, and ways to support the podcast, head on over to onthebubblepodcast.com. Now, on with the show.
Before we get going today, there was a little announcement that I wanted to make, and it's pretty exciting. As mentioned in the intro to today's episode, On the Bubble podcast is now a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network, which I'm really, really excited about. I'm a big fan of the network. There's a couple of individuals that I've come to know quite well, so that's really exciting. And I'm also looking forward to getting to know more and more people from the network itself. Just so you know, the show itself won't be changing at all. The team behind GonnaGeek are really incredible in that respect, besides a little bit of branding, which will only add, I think, to the auditory experience that is On the Bubble podcast, because every single show and all the audio that comes from the network is exceptional, which is also pretty exciting. And just between me and you, I'm hoping to talk some people from the network into some voiceover for On the Bubble too. So that should be pretty cool. There's some amazing voice talent on the network. So if you're a fan of anything from Arrow to The Flash to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I'm assuming if you're listening to today, you either love or hate Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you can find many shows like that, from live shows to heavily produced shows like On the Bubble, all at GonnaGeek.com. So GonnaGeek is spelled GonnaGeek. So if you're Australian and you're listening to this and you type it into your iOS device, it's probably going to call it GonnaGeek, which is completely inappropriate being a cask of wine. So that's not the one you want. And just as far as a recommendation for a show, there's pretty much the best Marvel and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast out there is part of GonnaGeek.com. It's called Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'll link that up in the show notes, and it's hosted by my friend and actual contributor to previous episodes of On the Bubble, SP, or Stargate Pioneer. And if you want to get an even deeper look into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Marvel Universe, legendsofshield.com. As you can tell, I'm pretty excited. And yeah, this is a one-time deal, so you won't have to hear this every week, except for maybe a recommendation of shows I'm finding on the network that I think are better than average, which is pretty much all of them. So yeah, legendsofshield.com and GonnaGeek.com. Okay, let's talk some Marvel's Most Wanted. On August 5th, 2016, DemarySue.com reported that ABC Entertainment President Channing Dungey had the following thoughts on Marvel's Most Wanted. Quote, Most Wanted, ultimately at the end of the day, did not feel as strong as some of the other pilots that we shot, unquote. We're assuming that Marvel's Inhumans wasn't one of those stronger, quote-unquote, pilots that Dungey was talking about in her quote there. Now, I'm sorry, my loyalty to S.H.I.E.L.D. alumni, Bobby Morse and Lance Hunter, might be clouding my brain a little bit there. I definitely think I'm biased, because I've just got to shake off those comments from Dungey, because most of, if not all the scenes featuring Bobby and Lance Hunter were of average quality in the total sphere of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or much, much better. So it's hard for me as a fan to believe that ABC shot a bunch of pilots that were genuinely stronger than the potential most wanted pilot, yet, from what I can tell, we haven't seen anything better, or we haven't seen anything groundbreaking that's come from that same pilot shot, where apparently they were shooting multiple potential pilots. That's just my feelings, but yeah, excuse me while I once again go and shake off those comments from Dungy. So now we come to the fan campaign for the pilot itself, or the beginnings of. As soon as Most Wanted wasn't picked up for a full season, loads of angry Marvel and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans took to social media to voice their frustrations. So Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, the cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is very socially savvy across all platforms. So the rage from fans about Most Wanted not getting picked up instantly fired up across all platforms as well, which is a testament again to that particular cast and crew, that they've engendered so much social following as well as critical acclaim, I guess. So in the wake of Bobby and Hunter's final episode as members of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's pretty easy to understand why fans were so annoyed at ABC for passing on Most Wanted. The following sentence will contain spoilers. The last S.H.I.E.L.D. episode featuring Bobby and Hunter elevated both their characters and also Henry Simmons' character Mac into an entirely different sphere of the S.H.I.E.L.D. mythology. It was a very, very good episode, and the type of episode that, as a fan, left a hole in your stomach for a couple of hours afterwards. So I can understand wholeheartedly where those fans were coming from that directed so much ire at ABC and their executive team.
For all episode resources, subscriber links, and ways to support the podcast, don't forget to check out onthebubblepodcast.com.
denofgeek.com reported on August 24, 2016, quote, Marvel TV fan Dominic Ryland-Jones has taken to change.org to lobby ABC into action under the title, Please air Marvel's Most Wanted TV pilot for fans, unquote. So as at May 1st, 2018, the pilot still hasn't come to light. And given the massive response to the recent return of Lance Hunter, who has been away from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for probably 2 whole seasons, the following line from Ryland Jones's petition seems particularly prescient. Quote, so it turns out that 2 of the most beloved characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had been written out of the show for nothing, unquote. Quote, I do not believe a small group of company executives can rightly speak on behalf of all Marvel fans around the world by deciding whether or not a new Marvel show is good enough to broadcast, unquote. So this might be a little unexpected, but I wouldn't normally agree all that much with that statement, because on some level, we as the receivers of content, mostly being the fans, have to have some trust that highly powered television executives have at least a smidge of talent for the roles that they play in the industry, unless, of course, they're associated with Fox. But with that said, in this particular case, I'm going to argue in favour of Ryland Jones and the Change.org petition because of the following factors. Bobby and Hunter are both beloved characters. They're portrayed by incredibly attractive and incredibly talented individuals, so that plays well across a wide audience regardless of how their characters may change and evolve. And we also know from certain story arcs within Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Bobby and Hunter can actually be the central story of a much bigger show, and you don't feel lost. They feel important and likable enough as characters to carry entire story arcs. They already have the one thing that every TV executive and writer, etc. wants. They have fans invested in the characters. So in my opinion, ABC doesn't have a whole lot to lose here by putting out the pilot for fans to watch. Unless, of course, ABC themselves chose to under-resource Most Wanted, and their executive team is in fact directly to blame for the apparent weakness of the pilot. Either way, I think we need to keep pushing them to release the pilot. And if it means us fans having some skin in the game, I think that we're up for that. ABC could charge a small yet meaningful fee for viewing the pilot, and they could keep the purchase window very narrow. That way they collect some unrealised revenue and fans get some closure around the pilot, Bobby and Hunter, and Most Wanted, and that story arc. As we come to the end of today's episode, I just wanted to finish up with one particular question, and it's this. What if, in the immortal words of Ron Weasley, the Marvel pilot is actually
bloody brilliant?
Then the ABC suits could end up looking even worse than they already do, and will come under even more fire from fans for being totally clueless. It's just a thought, but the better that pilot is, the worse they're going to look if it comes out. So we need to convince these people that not only do we want to see the pilot, but that we realise they're human. And if the pilot is really, really good, we're not going to call them out again on the internet for a second time for being stupid. Hashtag Marvel's Most Wanted. Hashtag Don't Die Out There. Okay, that will do for today. joshuacliston@gmail.com to email the show if you have a suggestion or any feedback, or you want us to cover a show we haven't yet or might not have thought of. We'd love to hear from you at joshuacliston on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. And for everything revolving around resources, links, pictures of tweets, etc. that we use as source material for the show, on thebubblepodcast.com. And lastly, don't forget to check out the other great shows at GonnaGeek.com. Okay, talk to you next week.
For all episode resources, subscriber links, and ways to support the podcast, don't forget to check out onthebubblepodcast.com. Thanks, and talk to you soon.